just what it means to like have completed this trip, it's so hard to put into words. Where people came from, why they stayed, and how it is they made it work. Figuring out that balance of like how much individualism goes into being American versus how much community we want to share and like build together as a nation is a delicate question. It's crazy because it's like you're looking for the edge of the world, but then it never comes. We're back, baby. All right, so I spent way too much time calibrating this setup. Today marks 329 days that I've spent from the beginning of this road trip till today, and we're marking today as the last day. The only reason why we're doing that is because I don't have a better way of saying this is the end of the road trip, and also I made it back to Florida yesterday morning. It was such a great feeling to be back here. There isn't really a better way of doing this, so it's just going to be pieces that I cut together, honestly, of things that I remember that I can't put into a complete single deliverance. But anyway, so one of the things I want to say is that after the first 30 days being on the trip, it felt like I had spent the whole year, and now 11 months essentially after it, I feel like the beginning of the trip was just yesterday. People say that people change, but they don't really change. And if you believe in the soul is kind of constant in your life, but our understanding of our soul is different. So the constant part of our soul never changes, but how we understand our soul and how we operate in the world, given how we know ourselves, does change, and it evolves as we gain experience, as we like interact with people, as we go through things that changes our perspectives. There were a lot of plans that I had, if not specific plans, in general feelings and thoughts that I had about what I would have expected the trip to be, and it's not specific expectations, right? So like one of the things was an idea that I had that I didn't do, obviously, was I wanted to wake up and go to sleep with the sunrise and sunset, meaning that I had planned to do like daily thoughts, and morning thoughts and evening thoughts would have been with the sun rising and the sun setting. Like there's an image that I have of how that might have looked in my brain. Practically speaking, there's like anything that I would have thought about before, I would have had to spend like the entire trip on that one thing to make it a reality. And with everything that's happened, I didn't care about having just like one thing that I set out to do on the trip. And I've mentioned this a few times before the trip, and also with people that I've like encountered on the trip, is that there were specific like goals that I had set for myself, right? Of like, oh, is there a better place that I want to live? Oh, like, can I meet my life partner, whoever that's going to be? Or do all the fastest roller coasters, or, you know, there were different things, more things. A lot of it I failed at, and I was thinking about this recently as well, right before this video, about I thrive in failure more than I do in success. I enjoy being lost more than I enjoy being home. And in general, my deepest happiness is mostly in like the saddest times in life, and people can take what they want from those three phrases. It's honestly the best continuous year of my life, but if you think about it all together, there's nothing special about it. It was just, it had super high highs and super low lows. On average, it's pretty average, right? Like putting all of that in perspective of being like, there were these super great moments, these super sad moments, which led to super great moments again. It's like, you can't fully appreciate all of that in motion, right? And I was telling some of my friends recently too that just what it means to like have completed this trip, it's so hard to put into words. And I had set out to do this for lots of different reasons. One, for personal growth, and then two, to share the experience with others, and also like if people can't go places, it's like living vicariously through me a little bit, whatever that means. I had changed the way that I was operating in the world depending on where I was and who I encountered, what it was that was happening in the places that I was at. And the ability to do that, the freedom that I had to do that, is one of the things that I appreciated the most on the trip. There's so many aspects of like what that means, like freedom in the way that I just described it. I always say that freedom, by definition, demands you to respect other people's freedom. And to be able to do that, people have to understand that there are things that are outside of their comprehension. And when they encounter something that, even if they don't understand it, they have to recognize it. And once you recognize it, it makes life a whole lot different. And I would say better, but it's relative to person. And like, at the end of the day, this trip was very personal to me. And I did do a lot of the things that I tried a lot of the things that I had initially planned to do. And it was definitely a growing experience, going through those different endeavors and failing at some of them, not necessarily failing at others, but also not necessarily like it being the way that I thought it would be. As much as I want to like capture in this video, I won't be able to do as much as I think I would feel content doing. But then looking back on the video, it's just like, at the time, understanding where I was to be able to do this, I think is the most important thing. And that's kind of what sums up the trip. It's like, at the time when I was experiencing different things at different places with different people, a lot of the times I didn't feel like there was anything special about the trip. I didn't feel like there's anything special about those days, those moments, those time, those energies. But after a while, it sunk in what it meant, and piecing it together now puts it all in a lot bigger perspective than I could have seen at any point in the trip. This trip could have gone on for my whole life. Easily, it could have been 5 to 10 years. There is so much across America, and all of the history that's in different places, where people came from, why they stayed, and how it is they made it work, I think are very critical questions that I have certain answers to. There's a lot of the answers I don't have as well, because I couldn't do all of the trip. But for the ones that I got, I think it gave me a good enough perspective on understanding my kind of like place among America. And not to say everyone needs this, right? But it was something that I needed. And to be able to take this with me, one of the things that I feel now that I appreciate the most as well is I feel a little bit like I was reborn, in the sense of I have a clean slate, and not necessarily I had a clean slate throughout the road trip. Gaining all this experience changed my perspective enough whereby it makes it easier to appreciate what's happened in my life so far and be like, I'm old, I'm getting old, but I'm also super young. Like, with me having lived up until this age, this is the youngest I felt. And it's not physically young, it's not really emotionally or mentally young, but it's the most potential. I had a video before where I talked about like experience and youth, and the youngness that I'm talking about right now is like optimal youth, which is crazy. Of like, I've gotten enough experience that I exchange that experience for youth almost, and I mean, it's crazy. I can't possibly put into words kind of like where I am in life, but if you encounter me in the wild, you'll be able to see kind of what it meant for me. It's not about what you get, it's what you give. And I mean, that's essentially what life's about. And by giving, right, you're not giving for yourself, you're not giving for others, you're giving for everything and everyone. Like, the whole thing is that there's so much of life that like we share, but we don't really appreciate how shared it is. A lot of the things that I've seen on this road trip, people were like mostly like on their own, but there was a lot of community as well, right? And like, figuring out that balance of like how much individualism goes into being American versus how much community we want to share and like build together as a nation is a delicate question, and where you go in life, where you're at, depending on like all the different factors of like how old you are, what are your personal goals, what are the people that you care about, their goals are, and just getting that whole picture all together. It's something that I will be working on going into the future. There's a whole different thing I want to talk about, which is one of the things I've told people too about the road trip is that 80% of the people live in 20% of the places, and the other 80% of the places that people aren't living in, there's way more deaths than there is life. Me saying that, it's kind of hard to put in perspective, so to kind of preface or like build into that, if someone has asked you like what's the most common thing you'd see in America, minus like nature, obviously, because there's still a bunch of nature, but it's not World Cup nature, but that's not really here or there. I would have said it would have either been like schools or churches. The thing that rivals churches and schools to me has been cemeteries. And regardless of what city you go to, a lot of the smaller towns, like the cemetery is like there in full force. Like you can't drive through a town without seeing a cemetery. The whole thing is that apart from the cemeteries, there's a lot of historical places that have been changed because there have been battles or other like means of fighting and actual death that happened on the land. And what I've encountered a lot more than I thought I would have is the idea that that death is hanging over places a lot more than the life is prospering in current times. There's a respect for history that you have to have, and there's nothing wrong with preserving history in certain cases. Whether you preserve history or prosper and grow into the future, I think is a question that we have to answer as a society of like, as we're building places, keeping both those things in mind of like the death and destruction from the past leads to experience that a lot of the older generations have in general, and a lot of the potential for growth in the future that's ingrained in like the youth of like they don't really know everything that's happened, but they know that they have a lot of potential for change. And like unifying these two, like having that yearn for action be grounded in the experiences that we've had so far, so that it's not like wasted action at the time when it comes to fruition. So yeah, I don't know exactly how to put that more succinctly, but yeah, it's something that I think about a lot. I didn't expect this video to be as long as I'm making it, and or like I thought it might have been longer, but I feel like I'm getting into topics that are too deep to be general conversation summaries. So this is bad wording. Given everything that I've been through, everything that I've tried to touch a little bit upon in this short summary video, it's crazy just with the clean slate that I have now. It's like, it's empowering and it's freeing, and it's just like I love it so much. And it's like I wish other people had what they needed to in life, essentially, to like appreciate what it is that I got out of this trip. But I know a lot of people are not in that place, and they haven't gone through what they needed to go through to be able to obtain what they want to obtain. And by the time they obtain what they thought they wanted to obtain, them realizing that what they obtained was something completely different, but way more than what they thought they needed, is, I don't know, that right there. It's been wild vlogging for this long. I will definitely enjoy my break after I've done these last set of videos and the conversations I've recorded with people on the trip. One of the things I'll end on, because I've been seeing it a lot more, is that I don't think I've ever really acknowledged myself as like a person in a room whenever I've had a conversation with someone, no matter how like close or not I am to them. Like when I'm talking, I don't really recognize myself and like where I came from to like be part of that conversation. And in the sense that I have conversations with people now, there's a sort of moment that happens sometimes now where I kind of stop talking and then like I not see myself, but like I look at myself, not in a mirror or anything, just like internally look at myself. It kind of like makes me think like, when did I go from wherever I came from to be here today? And what do other people see when they see me? Because I definitely don't see myself a lot of times. I see experience, I see the world, I see things and knowledge, but I don't see people and specifically individuals as much. Like looking at a field or at a forest, it's easier to not see individual trees, I feel like, or specific like individual life things. And I feel like that's how I live life, in the sense of like, when I see people, even if I'm looking at one specific person and I'm like having a conversation with one specific person, I don't see them individually. I see all of the life that went into becoming them today, right? And I have a hard time acknowledging people in the sense of like, who is it who's been part of my life, critical to my life to get me to where I am today? Like I know internally, and like I know who and how and when and where, but I don't associate who, how, when, and where with the thing that I gained. So when I talk about the thing that I gained, like I know how I gained it, but the person, I don't like acknowledge the things that I experienced to get that knowledge. And when I'm looking at other people, I see how they got what they got, and I don't attribute what they're saying to them. Obviously everyone has their own ideas and words and communication styles and things that make them who they are. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that like, at the end of the day, when I walk away from life, I'm not going to remember specific people. I'm going to remember what people stood for. And like when you think of like Martin Luther King or Mahatma Gandhi or like any big figure, Nelson Mandela, whoever, these people, I was listening to Trevor Noah talk about one of his podcasts, that like the names themselves are not the people. The names themselves are the people and the people around them that supported them, made the effort that they were attached to successful, right? And like Martin Luther King Jr. himself as a person, no one really knows. George Washington as a person, there's all these stories about like who he was, but it's not necessarily him that matters. It's what people thought about him as the first president that counts, and what his role as the first president was. And like in that sense, I think that what I've been able to do is like acknowledge that a lot more about myself. And I'm not trying to compare. I'm not successful like these other stories, and hopefully I'll do something that like makes an impact like these people. I mean, I think that it's always great to be a change in the world, and I'm trying to be that change every day. So yeah. Like I keep saying new things, I feel like, because I'm not good at endings and or like knowing how to end anything. I've gotten better at actually like saying goodbye to people and stuff like that. There's this thing of like I'll be there's this thing of Kabhi Alveda Na Kehna. If you've never seen the movie and understood the love story behind it, it's a classic for me, but it's not as big of a classic as other things maybe. But like I don't believe that endings really happen. I believe that every ending is just a new beginning, and like that's like reincarnation or just like life cycles in general. Part of the information life cycle or technology life cycle or even a hardware life cycle is that when you have a bottle, you're going to recycle that into a new material. Or when you have a software, once the software is not being used anymore, there's like the data that the software produced, which leads into other software designs and or other data systems. So it's like a constant cycle. Nothing really ends, right? Like just the nature of the Earth being round, right? it's crazy because it's like you're looking for the edge of the world, but then it never comes. And in general, pushing the boundaries, even the universe, right? We're looking for the edge of the universe. We don't actually know where it is or how it looks or anything like that. And I think being on that, like, the edge of things is just where I'm going to live my life going into the future. And there's going to be a long break, a few weeks at least, that I'll take after this trip. But just, like, I don't know, stay tuned, because I feel like if you've gained nothing from this like series that I've done, it's just life, love, energy, unity, people, like existence, like whatever it is that, like, all these things, the truth that these things talk about, that's what defines me. And that's what's gonna be part of my contributions to the world, however that looks in the future. And if we're gonna be successful as anything, being able to work together is what always comes back to me. And making that happen is where the future kind of exists. So, it's your boy, Nick Humia, signing off.